Look at a van and you're like, where did they come up with $150,000? It's because the outside of the van looks like it's ready to take on the apocalypse. That's why, and that's where they're getting those numbers from. And their inside might just be canvas walls and like a platform bed and maybe like an adventure wagon kit. And they're like, what? Where are you coming up with $150,000 on a 4x4 Sprinter? Well, a 4x4 Sprinter is $70,000. And you put all that other outside stuff, you're at $100,000, and then you put an adventure wagon kit in there, and all of a sudden you're at 120, 130, not even labor. That's where they're getting their numbers from, guys. Hey everybody, what's going on? So today's video is going to be about what is a van worth. If you're trying to sell your van or if you're trying to buy a van, I'm going to break down exactly how to do so. Or if you're just wanting to know what your van is worth, you can break it down using this system. I'm gonna have 6 different ways to break down a van's cost, worth, etc. all of that. And at the end of the video, I have a website up here and ready on my computer that has a van for sale, and we're going to break it down together. I might get a little bit of angry people here with this video, but what are you gonna do? I wanna give the truth. Okay guys, if you guys are new to my channel, consider subscribing. What I do here is I do mostly everything van life related, but I also do tiny home related things. I'm building out, or I'm going to be building out in a tiny home community. I've built out 2 vans myself and I've sold both of them. So I kind of know a little bit about this. I sold one van for a lower end or mid-market. It was a Ram Promaster and it was a DIY build with my dad. I went all out on parts and components on my second van. So I do know the range of a lesser van like my first one towards the higher end ones like my second one. I do have a degree in architectural engineering, and my second van I actually worked with, I call it a DIY assist build because I worked with a bunch of different people in the industry that helped me put it together. I did a lot of the construction myself, like the Van Life Tech radiant floor heating. I had Tiny Watt Solar do my power box. I had different entities work together. Jason from Off Grid Solutions helped me with a lot of the plumbing that needed to be done. Mark and Mala Customs also helped me with the AC unit that I eventually put in at the very end of the build right before I sold it. Anyways, do I know this space? Yes, I do. I've been doing this for over 4 years now, and like I said, not only have I sold 2 vans, but I've also personally helped something like 10 or 12 people sell their vans. Oh, and I've also worked on, I don't know, 24 vans, something like that with friends. So I've been doing this a long time is my point. I'm gonna go over pretty much the 6 steps that I go through when I do look at a van on a website. If somebody's like, hey, what is my van worth? I've actually had some clients recently reach out to me and ask me to start negotiating with some of these people because they feel that these vans are astronomical. And to be honest with you, there are some that are, and there are some that are actually priced really good. I kind of want to show everybody why these prices are there. For the ones that are getting angry that van life was supposed to be about freedom and about getting away and that kind of stuff, and it still is, but now it's getting into a different market. There are companies now building these vans, not talking about the Winnebagos and the big companies of the world. There's other custom companies that are selling these vans for over $300,000. Yes, that is very true. So how did they get to that price? The very first thing that I break down is the actual van itself, not the build out, the van. So there is a way to figure out your blue book value of the van. You can look up year, make, model. Again, I'm going to use my van as an example throughout this entire video because it's the easiest to do and I can use my own van as a reference point. So my second van, 2019 2-wheel drive Sprinter. I bought it brand new for like $45,000 give or take. When I was selling it, the blue book value was actually still at $40,000, which is remarkable because Sprinters hold their values better than like a Promaster or a Transit. So first and foremost, what is your van worth? If it was a 4x4, it probably would have been $15,000 more, give or take. It depends on accessories and add-ons and things like that that make obviously the value better. Look up the value of the van itself, whether it's a Transit, a Ford Ecoline, a Mercedes Sprinter, a Nissan NV, Ram Promaster, a Chevy Astro van, it doesn't matter. Look up its value. There are many ways to find out the value of the van itself. That number is going to be calculated into the rest that I'm going to be doing. Okay, so that's step one. Step two is the big ticket items. What is the most expensive things in the van? The most expensive things in a van are electrical and solar, the heating elements, and if you have an air conditioner, your air conditioning unit. If it has an AC, you need to make sure that it has enough power to run the AC. My air conditioner in my last van was $4,500, so think about that. Dometic Penguins that are about $900. I'm spitting all these numbers out at you because that will break down the price or what the van is worth to you when you are looking at vans. And when I actually start looking at these vans online, you will see what I'm talking about. Budget friendly or cheaper electrical setup like you would get off of Renergy. And I'm not saying anything bad about these companies, but I'm just telling you exactly what they are. Like a Renergy is, I call it the Walmart of energy and solar, probably the cheapest on the market, and it gets the job done. And there's nothing wrong with Walmart. I shop at Walmart. There's nothing wrong with that. More capable system, you would shop around to professional builders, or you would have like Tiny Watt Solar do it, or something along those companies that would build a bigger, more custom system. There's obviously going to be a massive price jump from an AGM battery to a lithium battery. So lithium batteries are obviously way more expensive. You can get an AGM battery setup or an AGM battery for a couple $100, whereas you can get a lithium battery, low end, $800, high end, $1,300. Massive difference in just batteries. And if you're looking at 3, 4, 5 lithium batteries, all of a sudden your electrical system went from 8,000 to 12,000. That is my point. This is not on how to build a van. This is just getting your van pricing done right. Electrical, solar, yes, huge jump. And that's one of the very first things I look at is your electrical setup. Does it have the correct solar panels on the roof? What are the solar panels on the roof? What brand of battery is it? Is it lithium or AGM? If it is lithium, what brand is also important? Inverters, inverter branding is important. Victron is probably one of the best and most of the well-known out there. What charge controller is used? Again, that is a completely different video on solar. However, and I've done plenty of videos on solar, as you guys hopefully have watched those. Lower end is like a Renergy a kit can be like 3,000-4,000. Labor is gonna be later in the video. And a higher end kit is going to be upwards of 12 to 25,000 depending on what components you are using. Heating is huge, okay? You know, if you went with what I had in my second van, my last van, which was a Radiant Floor Van Life Tech heating system. The Van Life Tech system is the best of the best, hands down. There's nobody that's better than them, in my personal opinion. There are other companies that are competing with it. Timberline makes a really good system. I do not like the Rixons, but a lot of people do. Again, this is all hydronic heating systems that are out there. Those systems I just mentioned, by the way, are in the thousands of dollars. Personally, don't like a Propex system. If somebody has a listing on a website and it says, you know, propane heater, Mr. Buddy heater, that's like a couple $100, guys. When I look at that, I look at what do they use for heating. An S-bar heater, which is probably the most commonly used heater, you can get a nice S-bar for like, well, Boston, same difference, guys, for like $1,500. Professionally installed can be $25,000 to $3,000 to $3,500 depending on who is installing it. My air conditioner was the best of the best. When it comes to air conditioners, which is the Cruise and Comfort, that's the Stealth model, which is an undermount, $4,500. I feel like one of the better roof-mounted air conditioners is the Nomadic cooling unit. I'm about to do a video on them. It is probably, I think, $3,500. Both of those are 12-volt air conditioners. Okay, so the third thing that I look at is materials and craftsmanship. This is a weird area of the build because every builder and every DIYer thinks that they are the best and their van is the best no matter how they look at it, or they invented something new. This is something you've never seen before. No, I've seen everything. I take that back. I obviously have not seen everything. However, I've seen a lot. Now that obviously vans are always evolving over time. That's fine. Okay, whatever. But materials and craftsmanship, you can tell there's more to a van build than just being aesthetically pleasing to the eye. However, the aesthetically pleasing to the eye does sell. You can put lipstick on a pig, and that's what a lot of these vans that I've been seeing are aesthetically pleasing to the eye, yet they don't have the systems that I was talking about. So it could be beautiful on the inside, maybe white shiplap if that is your thing, maybe custom cedar panels if that's your thing. But where are the systems? They might have a 100 amp hour AGM battery with a 100 watt solar panel. That's like $1,000 worth of components. Okay, with no shore power. Do you see what I'm saying? And they're trying to sell for like $90,000. It's like, come on. That's why I always say the systems are the first thing I look at. And then it's the building materials, the type of wood that is used. Weight distribution is also a thing here. This kind of goes also with the materials, is the layout and design and all that stuff. Now, is it a functioning design? Things that I would look at, type of refrigerator. Isotherm is better than like a Dometic. Nothing wrong with Dometic. I'm about to use a Dometic in my newest build. Nothing wrong with that. Vitrofrigo is another good product. Does it have a chest style or a door style? Which do you prefer? This section, the third section, is really dependent on you and your wants and needs. However, I can tell if somebody's putting lipstick on a pig, or if somebody actually took the time and did a lot of like round over edges, a lot of sanding, a lot of proper joining, a lot of proper mounting things to walls properly, because we're rolling through earthquakes here with our vans, which is going to matter way down the line. So the craftsmanship is so, so important. Now notice, if I went back 2 years ago, I would not have seen this on Van Life Trader or RV Trader. Now they're starting to list the insulation used. Thank you, finally. They're starting to list what is used in insulation. Is it spray foam? Is it foam board? Is it Pink Panther? Is it Havelock wool, which is a very popular thing? I wonder who did a video with them 18 months ago. This guy. Is it a layered system with a bunch of different things? Is it, what is in the insulation? What is there that you can't see with your eyes? Typically, when it's the stuff that you can't see with your eyes, is usually one of the more important things in a van build. Does it have a shower? What is the plumbing like? All of these things you want to look at and dissect when you're looking at the pricing of a van. Okay, so part 4 now of really what your van is worth, and this is where another price can just skyrocket, is the outside components. Now, I'm using part 3 and 4 right here at the beginning. Windows are outside technically, but it's also part of the materials. What kind of windows are used? Are they the fixed glass that are stock, or are they like a motion window, C.R. Lawrence, Arctic Turns? See how many different window types there are? What type are they? You can actually look up the pricing of a window. How many windows does it have? Does it have any windows at all? Is there a skylight? Not only that, just on the outside, but is there a lift? Tires, rims or wheels, bumpers, roof racks, all of those things, the pricing can start to climb like this. Now, if somebody was to go to like Agile Off-Road or Van Compass and get the RIP package, the RIP package stands for Ride Improvement Package. If you were to get a Ride Improvement Package, that alone can be $3,000 to $6,000 just in a package that helps the suspension. I've also heard it's phenomenal, by the way. However, that is a $3,000 to $6,000 upgrade. You can't see that with your eyes. You can't look at a van and say, hey, that has the RIP package on it. You can't tell. You'd have to actually ask the person if they have it or not. You can tell if there's a lift, but you can't tell if there's an RIP package, which is sway bars and other components in there. You can obviously tell if there's a tires and wheels, right? You can tell if the bumpers are on there. The bumpers, oh my goodness, guys, if you have a custom bumper, like from Alumnus, Backwood Adventure Mods, Catuned, CA Tuned, however you want to say it, Rome Built, Ladders, Roof Racks, all of those companies, guys, Owl Rigs, all of these companies, the pricing is like $2,000 bumper, $4,000 bumper, $1,500 bumper, roof racks, another $2,000, $2,500. So before even going into the van, you can be spending upwards of $20,000, $25,000, $30,000, $40,000 just on your outside components. So when you look at a van and you're like, where did they come up with $150,000? It's because the outside of the van looks like it's ready to take on the apocalypse. That's why, and that's where they're getting those numbers from. And their inside might just be canvas walls and like a platform bed and maybe like an adventure wagon kit. And they're like, where are you coming up with $150,000 on a 4x4 Sprinter? Well, a 4x4 Sprinter is $70,000. And you put all that other outside stuff, you're at $100,000. And then you put an adventure wagon kit in there, and all of a sudden you're at $120,000, $130,000, not even labor. That's where they're getting their numbers from, guys. That was a very quick breakdown of what this entire video is. So the outside of the van is important to look at. Now, if you are stealth, like a lot of Promasters are, because guess what? You can't do that much on the outside of a Promaster because the market doesn't dictate that. There's not many components or companies that can put bumpers on, or that can put, roof racks on, or can do other things to Promasters. It's just the way it is, guys. Promasters are more of a stealthy vehicle for city living, and I love them, by the way. It just depends on what type of van you have. Yes, you guys get what I'm saying, I think. Okay, so the fifth thing, and the last two, by the way, the fifth and sixth, the last two are kind of, I'll just touch on real quick because it varies dramatically. Fifth thing is labor. What labor went into the van? Was it your own or was it professionally built? If it was your own, you have to dictate on what your labor is worth. However, do not compare your labor to somebody that has built 30 vans. If this is your first van build, price it for your first van build. Even your second or your third, price it for your first, second, or third van build. There are companies that are turning vans, 12 to 15 vans per year. And you're saying that you're trying to compete with them? You're trying to comp with them? Come on, that's not fair. So there is no comps in this area. This is part of the video where a lot of people are gonna be like, well, the van is worth whatever somebody's willing to pay for it. Yeah, I'm not arguing that. Of course, the van is worth whatever somebody's willing to pay for it. If you want your van to sell quickly, or if you want to spend 8 months trying to sell it. That is what I'm trying to say. I like to say for beginning builders or builders that are starting out, the safe bet is a 1-to-1 ratio. A 1-to-1 ratio, what I mean by that is if you use $20,000 worth of components, the labor is typically about $20,000 to $30,000, give or take. Usually my rule of thumb, professional builders are a much different ratio, okay? It's almost like a 1-to-2 ratio. So if they had $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 worth of components, it's usually double that in labor because they have taken the time to invest in a shop, insurance, LLC business, spending the time doing customizations. So they have all of that overhead to pay for. If you hire somebody to do a backyard build or they're just starting out, then I would try and stay close to that 1-to-1 ratio. We're also getting into the world of van flipping. That kind of breaks my heart where somebody is literally buying a van and they're putting in, Target cabinetry, Home Depot cabinetry, IKEA cabinetry, and they're flipping it for a profit. To me, I don't like that whatsoever. I really don't endorse it. I'm not a fan of that method. Yeah, they do systems and all that stuff, and they might do really nice electrical, and they might do a lift on something or whatever it may be. But if you're gonna do something, do it right. It's just like the home flipping market. There are people out there in the home flipping market that will buy a house and put the lipstick on a pig, I love that phrase, and they will flip it for a massive profit, and I don't like them either. I don't have that moral compass to do that, and that's one of the reasons why I don't build vans, because I don't have that moral compass to do something along those lines. Ask the person how many vans they built. If they're above 10, then they're gonna charge more. If they're in the 30 range, they're gonna charge even that much more. If they've been doing it for 5 years, they're gonna charge more. Do you see my point? The sixth thing, and I'm not happy about this because people are taking advantage of this, supply and demand. Right now, at the beginning of 2021, the supply is low and the demand is through the roof. The demand is way too high for the amount of inventory there are for van and van builders, right? Because of everything that's happening, everybody wants to still get out and explore and do their thing. So the supply is there, the demand is high, everything is on extra high alert. I get it. But there are people out there that are taking advantage of others, and I don't condone that. Again, this goes back to moral compass. I can't do it. I can't see it. The current state that we are in, you can tack on an extra 5 to 15,000 depending on the type of van that you are looking at. And that's just the nature of the business, guys. That's supply and demand for you. So now those are my 6 steps that I kind of go over. Let's actually go into a van. I use Van Life Trader as a website, but there's other websites. Obviously Craigslist is probably the cheapest way to either list a van or look at a van. Well, looking at a van is always free, but if you're to list a van, Craigslist is like $5 to post. And you probably, for me, that's how I do it, is I post on Craigslist in the city that I'm in or the city I'm closest to or whatever like market I'm trying to sell to. So if I was doing more of like a stealth van, right, I would probably list it in the LA, San Diego, San Francisco market. If I was doing more of an adventure van, I would probably list it in the Pacific Northwest somewhere, Seattle, Portland, maybe Denver, Colorado, Utah. One of those cities is where I would probably list it. Van Life Trader is probably the next best place to list it, which would be, it's a good site. I think there's a lot of looky-loos on Van Life Trader, but it's still a good site, I think. And then RV Trader is probably the best of the best. You have to pay the most to get on there, but RV Trader is a very, very, very established company that has been around for many years. None of those websites are actually giving me any sort of kickback. Those are just the three that I listed my van on, and I felt that they were the best, and they got the most eyes on it. That's the key of the game, guys, getting the eyes on your listing. I'm gonna screenshot this and I'll put this up on the thing. But this was a new custom 2024 season van. I don't know this person, by the way. I have no idea who they are, nor am I ripping into them. I'm not trying to rip into anybody. And if you hired me and say, hey, I'm looking at this 2024 season van, can you look at it and tell me if it's worth the price? That's what I'm doing. So we scroll down. I see that it's a 2020 Ram Promaster. Okay, right off the bat, I already know what a 2020 brand new Promaster is because it only has 500 miles on it. A brand new 2020 Promaster is about 35, give or take. It's two-wheel drive. They don't even make a 4x4 option or an all-wheel drive option because the Ram Promasters are front-wheel drive. You can't even convert it if you wanted to. Automatic is gasoline. That's obvious because they don't make diesels anymore. 158 wheelbase. Okay, it's the standard one, or it's the longest one, I should say. Number of seats with seatbelts, 2, sleeping capacity 2. Great. It is the long wheelbase. I get it might be the extended. I don't think it said that, but it says 3,500. The 3,500 and the 2,500, what are the differences is payload. That's how much weight it can handle. This person listed the insulation. That's fantastic. Superior rust resistance. I love people when they try to fluff things, right? Soundproofing and an insulation R value. Doesn't say the R value, just says it's superior rust resistant, but it doesn't say what the insulation actually is. Okay, I'm assuming it's a spray foam. If it was done professionally by a spray foamer, you're looking at like $2,500, give or take. Oh, it does say closed cell foam. Okay. 3-way charging system for peace of mind. Sure. Most vans I know have a 3-way charging system. Most. If they don't, I actually recommend it. Solar's 400 watts. That's a good amount. Plug in. Obviously, that's shore power. And alternator to charge off of the alternator DC to DC charger. 300 amp hours, low temperature protected, rely on batteries. Wow. So this one actually has the best of the best when it comes to batteries, in my opinion. I love Relion. I'm an ambassador for Relion. If you go to Relion website, there's my ugly mug right there on the website, standing on my solar deck. Their low temperature brand is remarkable. It gets down to like -4 or 4, something like that. It's crazy amount that it can get down to. Also tells me they might not have the best heater in here because if they're using low temperature batteries inside of a van, why are they doing that? 300 watt inverter that easily powers and included 1800 watt induction stove, a 300 watt inverter. I think they meant 3000 watt. I think they missed a 0 because a 300 watt would not be able to handle an 1800 watt induction, but that's okay. That's an easy typo, it's not a big deal. If you are watching, if this is your listing and you're watching this, please fix that. Fresair AC, I don't want to badmouth anybody, I just don't like Fresair. Oh, they do have a heater. S-bar heater mounted under the seat. Okay, so that heater's about a $1,700 heater, give or take. And professional installation, like I said, is about $3,000. Again, you can break all this down. Copper countertop with anti-mold living surfaces. Hospital grade water filter. I've never heard of a hospital grade water filter, but sure, that sounds like it's a fluff. Why not? Hot water. What is your hot water? What are, like, is it the Bosch hot water heater? Because that's, if it's hooked up to the electrical, you have enough electrical to handle that. I'm just curious if that's what it is. Write that in the description. And then at the end, this person added, I'm an experienced van builder, 2 years, and traveler. So that actually tells me a couple things. One, this person has lived in a van. Great. So they actually know the ins and outs of a van. Awesome. They've been doing it for 2 years. Let me go on. This is the first van that I have been able to do without a limit on my budget. So I essentially build what I think is the perfect van. This is the last van I will be building myself as I'm opening a custom conversion. That's fine. you're almost trying to promote your business more than anything than sell a van. It's asking $115,000. Do I feel that it's worth $115,000? Absolutely not. Quickly, I'll just break down what I think. We'll say 35 for the Promaster. That's inflated. We'll say electrical, yeah, probably 10,000. Okay. Heater, sure, yeah, 10. We'll say the build probably cost this person, and the pictures look really nice, to be honest with you. The craftsmanship is actually there, and I will give that person credit that they look like they did a really, really good, nice job, is what I'm trying to say. I would say it's about 25. The parts, materials, systems, all that combined, I'm saying about 25. It could be upwards of 30, depending on where he got his wood from. Between the van itself and what what he spent on it, we're looking at 60,000. If I was to do a 1-to-1 ratio, I would add another 25 on the van, because we'll put that as a labor. So that's 85,000. And before I even kind of read into all of this, I was going to actually say, this is probably about a $90,000 build. Okay, they're asking 115, I would say 90. That's me and my personal opinion. This builder can come and rip me apart if they want, but that is my assessment of it. I will go quickly to a 2020 Mercedes Sprinter 2500 144 4x4 high roof custom build. Great, let's go into it. Right off the bat, it's a 2020 2500 144 4x4 high roof. One of the most sought out after vans there is out there. So supply and demand is already way up. They're asking 115. The same price as that Ram Promaster. However, this build is simple. It is a lot of upfitting build, which means they took a lot of parts from other companies and put them into this van. Fully loaded Mercedes crew cab, excellent. Guys, this is a $70,000 van by itself. Maybe 65 with how many miles are on it, which are 4,000 miles. It's brand new. It's got the 7-inch touchscreen. I'd rather have the 10-inch touchscreen, but that's just me. RB components, removable panel bed. RB components, 20-gallon freshwater tank. It looks like they use a lot of components. Like I said, the RB components, 32-inch dual door upper cabinet, wall brace kit. Yeah, this is all just kits. Coin flooring. Guys, this is an adventure vehicle. This is a weekend warrior adventure vehicle. 100 amp hours, AGM batteries. That's the only thing I don't like seeing here. Even this, I would say, overpriced by only about 10,000. I would still put a $100,000 price tag on this because it's an adventure vehicle. You're still looking at it between 100 to 110,000, and you can see the differences. That is a very simple build. However, the van itself has such a massive impact on it because I believe it has a lift on it, it has suspension on it, it has the wheels and tires. The outside of the van there's no bumpers or anything like that, but I don't know what they use for insulation. Again, this is a very quick look that I looked at this one compared to the other one, but it looks like they didn't do that much crazy stuff to it. This might be actually what a van flipper would do. It's not the prettiest, but they're flipping it real quick. I know I just went through 2 vans really quickly. I hope that was enough. If you have any questions, please comment below. I'll try to see the comments. If you can also go to jaredtachi.com, which is my website. You can also book a consultation with me, which is what I do on top of everything else that I'm doing in my life here. Please check out jaredtachi.com for any custom tables that I'm going to be making, any merch that I have. Also, any events that I'll be going to. I've already verbally committed to an event coming up in May of 2021, which I am excited about. So guys, please check all of that stuff out, and I will see you guys next time. Later.